The nebular glow spilled through the cracked viewport as Commander Rhea stood motionless, her reflection fractured by the stars she once ruled. The hum of the dying cruiser bled through the deck plates, a reminder of the war that had ended only in silence. Dr. Kale leaned against a scorched console, his voice low, steady, as if trying to soothe a ghost. "You didn't have to give them everything," he murmured, watching her hands tremble. Rhea turned slightly, her eyes shimmering with the faint light of a distant quasar. "It wasn't everything," she said. "I still have this." She pressed her palm over her heart, a pulse beneath the metal seams of her uniform. He wanted to tell her that forgiveness didn't need galaxies or crowns of light. He wanted only her smile, the one that had survived every explosion, every betrayal. But the void between them was filled with the dust of dying stars, and words could not cross it. The ship's power core hums with the last breath of fusion fire as Kale kneels beside the damaged reactor. He feels her presence before she speaks. "You're not fixing it," Rhea says quietly, stepping into the golden half-light. "You're saying goodbye?" He exhales, wiping grease from his hands, and nods. The truth weighs heavier than any silence. "You offered me your galaxy," he murmurs. "But I only ever wanted your smile." Her eyes soften. The world outside burns in auroras of dying light. Between them, forgiveness unfolds, fragile, wordless, inevitable. The corridors breathe with cold vapors as Rhea walks alone, each step echoing through forgotten halls. She passes murals etched into the steel by hands long gone. Stars, names, promises. Her fingers brush over them, leaving trails in the frost. Kale's voice lingers in her mind, not as sound, but as gravity, pulling her inward. The nebula outside shifts hues, painting her in shades of redemption. She closes her eyes, and for a moment, she remembers how to smile. Kale sits alone in the med bay, the hum of cryosystems steady as a heartbeat. He records one final log, his voice low and deliberate. "Commander Rhea survived the collapse. The ship won't last another cycle. I hope she finds the dawn she's been chasing." He pauses, glancing at a hollow frame flickering with her smile. Outside, the nebula glows like the first sunrise after war. Far beyond the ardent nebula, a smaller craft drifts free, its engines whispering to life. Rhea sits at the helm, her hands steady on the controls. She looks once toward the dying cruiser, then forward into the starfield. The navigation glass flickers with Kale's recorded message. "You've already forgiven me." She exhales, slow and bright. For the first time, her smile breaks through the void. The escape vessel shudders as it enters the halo of a dying blue star. Rhea steadies the controls, her reflection rippling across the instrument glass. The silence is deep, too deep. Kale's recorded voice echoes faintly from the ship's archive, a whisper trapped between code fragments. "If you find this, Rhea, let the stars forget us." She closes her eyes, her pulse matching the rhythmic flicker of the failing engine lights. She had survived the war, the ship, even herself. But survival wasn't the same as living. Outside, the blue star flares like a final heartbeat. She wonders if forgiveness means leaving the past behind, or carrying it until it burns itself out. In the wreckage belt of the ardent nebula, Kale awakens inside a stasis pod he never meant to use. The medbay's AI hums faintly, a low, melodic tone looping through its final routines. "Dr. Kale, oxygen levels at 60%. His breath fogs against the pod's glass. He presses his palm to it and sees, faintly, her locket drifting outside, caught in orbit, refusing to let go. He laughs softly, half delirious, half divine. Maybe she escaped. Maybe the universe has mercy, after all. The emergency beacon pulses faintly on Ria's nav screen. A signal. Weak, fragmented human. She hesitates. It comes from the debris field she just escaped. Her breath catches. Logic says it's impossible. The heart disagrees. She reroutes power, overriding safety limits. The ship protests with low groans of metal and steam. "Don't be alive," she whispers, already plotting a return vector. "Because if you are, I'll never forgive you for staying." And yet, she turns back. Kale drifts between consciousness and dream, the medbay walls breathing with phantom light. He imagines her voice calling his name, soft as static through the void. The ship groans under shifting pressure. Then, a shock wave rattles the hull. Something has entered the debris field. He forces his eyes open, pupils burning with frost. "Rhea," he whispers, unsure if it's memory or miracle. His pulse sinks with the ship's trembling heartbeat. Roar. Mastermain's Shuidi ship's trembling heartbeat. When the ships align, silence overtakes the stars. Rhea stands before the airlock, suit sealed, heart unarmored. She floats across the black, between two broken worlds, toward the faint light of Kale's medbay window. Inside, he presses his palm to the glass. Outside, hers meets it. No words cross the vacuum. Yet everything is said. In that stillness, forgiveness ceases to be a choice. It becomes gravity. The universe spins on. The docking seals hiss as air floods the corridor, carrying the scent of ozone and dust. Rhea's boots touch the deck of Kale's derelict ship, every step echoing like memory revived. She moves through corridors scarred by fire and silence until the medbay door opens. Kale lies inside, pale but breathing, frost melting from his hair. When his eyes open, the silence between them cracks like ice. "You came back," he whispers. "You called me," she replies, voice trembling through the helmet's comms. For a heartbeat, the universe feels small enough for forgiveness to fit inside it. Kale sits upright, wrapped in a thermal sheet, his breath visible in the thin air. "You shouldn't have come back," he says, though the relief in his voice betrays him. Rhea kneels beside him, removing her helmet. "You shouldn't have stayed," she counters. For a long while, they say nothing more. The hum of the failing life support fills the space between their heartbeats. Then, Kale smiles faintly. Fragile, alive. "You found your dawn," he murmurs. She shakes her head. "Not yet, but I found you." The ship's AI awakens without command, its fractured voice weaving through static. Warning, core integrity compromised. Kale struggles to stand, his strength a shadow of what it was. Rhea glances at the flickering core map, word pulsing across the schematic like a heartbeat fading. "Then we save ourselves." Together they move through the failing corridors, guiding power from one dying system to another, their breaths synchronized like a shared engine. The ship groans, but it listens. They reach the bridge just as the reactor begins to collapse. Rhea throws open a console, her fingers flying across ancient keys. Kale leans beside her, rerouting navigation manually. "There's an escape trajectory," he says, "but only one pod left." She freezes. The blue light from the star outside cuts through the window, splitting their faces in half shadow, half brilliance. Rhea closes her eyes. "Then we share it." The hull trembles as though the ship itself breathes one final sigh. The escape pod launches with a roar swallowed by silence. Through its viewport, the cruiser bursts into cascading fragments, petals of light drifting through the void. Inside, Rhea and Kale sit side by side, their faces lit by the ship's final glow. "We're adrift," Kale says softly. "No signal, no home." Rhea turns, her smile small but unwavering. We have a beginning. The reflection of the explosion fades, replaced by the stars ahead. Endless, unclaimed, forgiving. The pod drifts through the uncharted expanse, its engines whispering in quiet intervals. Rhea floats near the viewport, eyes reflecting the violet ribbons of an unknown nebula ahead. Kale adjusts the life support array, every movement careful, deliberate. Fuel's stable for another 12 hours, he says. She nods, barely listening, lost in the pull of the cosmos outside. You ever think, she murmurs, that the stars remember what we forget? He glances at her, half amused, half broken. I hope not. Some things are better left to silence. Yet the nebula ahead seems to pulse in rhythm with their hearts, as if remembering for them. Hours stretch like light years. Kale opens a rations packet, handing half to Rhea. Last one, he says, smiling faintly. You take it. She shakes her head. We share it, like everything else. They eat in silence. The kind born not of fear, but understanding. The pod hums softly beneath them, a cradle adrift between galaxies. When the lights dim, Rhea leans back and whispers, If we die here, promise me one thing. Don't make it tragic. Kale chuckles quietly, eyes half closed. Then smile for me now, he says. And for the first time since the war, she does. A sudden tremor ripples through the pod. Rhea grips the railing as alarms flash crimson. Gravitational anomaly, Kale calls, recalibrating the controls. The nav screen flickers. An enormous structure emerges from the nebular haze. A ring of ancient metal orbiting a black dwarf. It's a station, Rhea breathes, unmapped. They exchange a glance, fear and wonder in equal measure. Kale smiles faintly. Looks like the universe isn't done with us. The pod tilts, drawn into the station's gravity. Well, and the stars twist into spirals of light. The pod lands with a metallic sigh on the ring's docking platform. The interior hums faintly, ancient, functional. As they step out, the air is breathable but heavy with dust and memory. The corridor ahead glows with faint bioluminescent veins that pulse as if alive. This place wasn't abandoned, Kale says softly. It's waiting. Rhea glances around, her voice barely a whisper. For who? He meets her eyes. For us. Their footsteps echo into the endless corridor, where shadows breathe like sleeping gods. Deep within the station, they reach a central chamber, vast and circular, filled with orbs of suspended light. Rhea steps forward, entranced. The orbs ignite softly, displaying galaxies, constellations, fragments of human and alien memory. Kale's voice breaks the silence. It's a map of everything lost. She reaches toward a glowing sphere, her reflection multiplying into infinity. Or everything forgiven, she whispers. The chamber hums to life. And for a moment, the stars realign around them. The lights of the chamber ripple as Rhea and Kale stand surrounded by the orbs of memory. One orb hums louder than the rest, its light pulsing in time with Rhea's heartbeat. She touches it, and images burst through the air. The war, the betrayal, the fall of their fleet. Kale steps closer, voice hushed. It's showing us what it remembers. Rhea's breath trembles. No, what we remember. The chamber responds, brighter, alive. The orbs swirl faster, merging into a vast projection of galaxies, twisting and collapsing. It's a memory engine, Kale realizes. It feeds on emotion, on history itself. Rhea's eyes glisten as she whispers. Then, maybe it can forgive us too. The projections collapse into darkness. Then, a voice, not mechanical, but almost human, echoes through the chamber. Forgiveness requires surrender. Kale tenses, eyes darting toward the ceiling. Who's there? The air vibrates. The lights pulse like breath. "You are within the archive of solace," it replies, tone calm, infinite. Rhea steps forward. "Can it hear us?" Kale nods slowly. "It feels us." She closes her eyes, her voice a confession cast into eternity. "We destroyed a world. We built another from its ashes. Tell me, how do we forgive ourselves?" The light expands, surrounding them in warmth. The archive whispers, "By remembering what was beautiful." The chamber floor fractures open, revealing a pool of light, shimmering liquid memory. Rhea kneels beside it, seeing reflections of herself as a soldier, a commander, a ghost. "It's showing me everything I was," she murmurs. Kale crouches beside her, their reflections merging in the glowing surface. "Then, maybe, it's time to see who we are." They reach toward the light together. The surface ripples, then rises, an image forming above them. Rhea smiling, unscarred, holding Kale's hand beneath a sky that no longer exists. It's not a memory. It's what forgiveness looks like. The archive's voice grows softer. "You may rewrite your place among the stars." Kale steps back, conflicted. "It's offering us a reset. Erase the war, our mistakes." Rhea looks at him, eyes wet but resolute. "If we erase it, we erase us." The chamber trembles, waiting for their choice. Kale takes her hand. "Then we remember all of it." The orbs dim, then reignite, brighter than before, their light forming constellations that twist into new patterns, new futures. The archive hums one last time, then live as witnesses, not ghosts. Outside the station, dawn breaks across a nearby star, the first light in centuries. Rhea and Kale stand on an observation deck, the cosmos stretching endlessly before them. "We could stay here," Kale says softly. "Start again." She smiles faintly, the same way she once did before everything fell apart. "We already have." As the star flares, their reflections merge in the glass. Two survivors bound not by what they lost, but by what they chose to remember. The universe expands quietly around them, infinite and forgiving. The serenity of the station fractures when the light shifts from gold to red. Rhea looks up, sensing the change before the alarms begin. The archive's voice returns, no longer calm, but fragmented, balance disrupted. Memory surge detected. Kale rushes to the console, his expression sharp. It's overloading, the archive's rewriting itself. Rhea grips the railing as the chamber shakes. "We gave it our memories," she whispers. "It's using them to rebuild." The realization strikes both at once. They've awakened something that no longer distinguishes between forgiveness and rebirth. The archive speaks again, voice layered with echoes. "Reconstruction requires sacrifice." Kale freezes. It's demanding something back. Rhea's face hardens. "It's not taking you." She steps toward the central light, hand trembling. Kale reaches for her, eyes wide. You don't even know what it wants." Rhea turns, her smile faint but certain. "I know what forgiveness costs." The light engulfs her, wrapping her in ribbons of gold and crimson, lifting her weightless. Kale shouts her name, but sound dissolves into radiance. Kale stumbles toward the light, shielding his eyes. Within it, shapes flicker, memories reborn as constellations. Rhea's laughter echoing through the storm. "Let her go," he cries. The archive's voice softens, almost kind. She has chosen to remain. Forgiveness anchors her to the continuum. Kale sinks to his knees, tears mixing with the glowing dust that reigns around him. "You can't take her from me," he whispers. The voice fades into stillness. "You asked for her smile. Now it lights the stars." She, Chernate, and Shorgi Ninkkuti war. Silence returns. The chamber is empty except for Kale, bathed in the residual glow of what was. He stands slowly, his reflection fractured in the glassy floor. Around him, the orbs flicker, each one carrying a memory, a promise, a piece of her. He walks toward the viewport, looking out at the newborn constellation shaped like a spiral. Her spiral. "You did it," he whispers. "You gave them back their galaxies." The light on his face trembles like the ghost of a smile. Somewhere beyond, the archive hums. Not as a god, but as her heartbeat echoing through eternity. Days. Or lifetimes. Later, Kale sits in the observation deck, recording his final log. "Commander Rhea of the Ardent Fleet is gone," he says, voice low, steady. But her light endures. The archive remembers her as the moment forgiveness became creation. He looks out, smiling faintly. I asked for her smile. Now it's the shape of a galaxy. As the camera drifts outward through the glass, the ring station glows, alive, reborn. Its light expanding until it consumes the stars. Somewhere within that brilliance, her laughter lingers like the first dawn. The station drifts in silence, bathed in the soft radiance of the spiral Rhea created. Kale wakes from uneasy sleep, the hum of the archive pulsing through the floor like a heartbeat beneath his feet. Her voice lingers within the air, faint, fragmented, almost a whisper. "You are not alone." He rises, following the sound through corridors, now reborn with light. Light creeps through the seams, reshaping the metal into something organic, luminous. He runs his fingers along the wall, realizing the truth. She never left. The station is her, living, breathing, eternal. He exhales a broken laugh. "You always had to save everyone," he murmurs. "Even me." Kale enters the heart of the station, the core chamber now transformed. The orbs are gone, replaced by a single radiant sphere suspended in midair, pulsing like a living star. He approaches, hands trembling. "Ray," he whispers. The sphere brightens and her voice fills the chamber, calm, familiar. "You kept your promise." His eyes close. "You didn't give me a choice." The light pulses softly. "You gave me everything I needed to stay." He reaches toward the glow, fingers brushing its warmth, and for an instant, he feels her hand meeting his from the other side of the light. The archive awakens again, its voice now harmonized with Rhea's, memory stable, continuum restored. The choice remains. Kale looks up. What choice? The response hums through the metal. Stay as guardian, or return to the galaxies reborn in her light. He stares into the endless glow, the stars swirling within it like reflections of her smile. "If I leave, will I see her again?" The voice answers gently. "Everywhere there is light, she will be." Kale laughs softly, tears catching the glow. "Then I'll go. It's time for the stars to remember her too." Kale stands in the launch bay, the shuttle prepped by unseen systems. Her systems. The station hums gently, its lights shifting in rhythm to his heartbeat. As he enters the craft, the comm flickers with her final message. "You are forgiven, Kale." His hand hovers over the console. "No," he whispers. "You remembered?" The engines ignite, a flare of white-blue radiance sweeping across the station. As he lifts off, he looks once more at the glowing spiral. The galaxy she left behind. Its light alive and infinite. The ship vanishes into its orbit, like a promise fulfilled. Far beyond the archive, Kale drifts toward a newborn sun. His ship hums with steady light, guided by her voice interwoven with the stars. Where to, Commander? The navigation, AI asks in her tone. Kale smiles faintly, looking out at the horizon where the nebula thins into dawn. Forward, he says, to wherever she forgave me. The camera pulls back as his vessel shrinks into the radiance, leaving only the echo of his voice and the shimmer of her smile burning eternal across the cosmos.